we are going to write 1.35 because we want this in standard form. Standard form is your normal number. Do you see I have a positive exponent 5? So I am going to put a plus up here because this is my notes. And I'm going to put an arrow to the right. Because if your exponent is positive, you move it to the right. Just like a number line. Aren't your positives on the right? Okay. So we are going to move that decimal 5 places to the right. Whatever the exponent says is how many places you're going to move it. So we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that is you showing your work. You must show your work in math class. No worky, no grade. And y'all will get used to saying that. Now, we are now going to rewrite it so it's pretty without the camel humps. And then count 1, 2, 3, comma. And that is now written in standard form. It's now written as a normal number. Now, let's look at number 2. You can see there's barely a little negative right there in front of that 3. And when you see a negative, well, if we went to the right, if it's positive, we're going to go to the left, like a number line, right? So we are going to write 2.7. My exponent is 3. So we're going to move it 3 places to the left. 1, 2, and 3. Your empty camel humps are zeros. I will add a 0 at the front. If you forget to put the 0 in front of the decimal, we will not count it wrong. Okay? Totally fine. Just as long as you put how many you're supposed to have after it. Okay. That is if you're moving it to standard form. Now, we're going to go write it in scientific notation. So we're going the opposite way. So we're going to write this huge number. Now, when we write it in scientific notation, you're actually just making it into a smaller way of writing it. All scientific notation has times 10. All scientific notation will be times 10. Now, do you see this starts with a regular number, so it's going to be a positive exponent. Now, where is the decimal in this number? It's at the end. If you don't see one, it's at the end. So put a decimal and put a line. Now, scientific notation must be a number between 1 and 10. So you're going to read this like you read a book from left to right. The first number you come to that is not a 0, you're going to put a decimal behind it. So you're going to do 6 decimal. Put the decimal directly behind the 6. And you are going to write 6.79 because you have to write the numbers that are not the zeros. And you're going to ask yourself, is that number between 1 and 10? Yeah, or $1 and $10. It is. Okay? Now, we need to count how many numbers are between our lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's my exponent. I'm done. Okay, now we're going to write this one. This one has 5 zeros after the decimal. That's really where you need to be careful because that's where you'll mess up, is if you just write the number wrong, okay? then it'd get your tally off. Okay, so if I look at this, do you see it starts automatically with a 0, where the other one didn't? That tells me automatically my exponent is negative. So that's how you know the difference. Starts with a 0, negative exponent. Easy to notice. Now, I already have one decimal. It's sitting there nice for me. Where am I going to put my new decimal so it's a number between 1 and 10? 2.1, correct. 2.1, because you'd read across and the first number I see that's not a 0 is the 2. Somebody in first period told me to put it behind the 1. And I said, well, if I write 21, is that a number between 1 and 10?
No.
Do you see why you always ask yourself that question? Is 2.1 a number between 1 and 10?
Yes.
Then you're good. Now, count how many places are in between. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you need to put numbers up there, if you need to like point at each one, do what you need to do. Do you see you can do that? Put little dots. Whatever you need to do to count correctly, do it. Okay? Now we're going to fold this quickly. Fold up to the center each corner. And then we're going to set this to the side. Fold each corner up to the middle. And then we have a cute, cute little foldable that we're going to set aside. And we'll come back to it at the end of class. Okay. Set that aside and get out the big page. We're going to practice more because I'm certainly not just going to teach you 4 problems. We need to practice more. So here we go. This left-hand side of your paper, we are going to use scientific notation. So that means they're all going to say times 10. Oh, that's what it was. I just need to restart my iPad.
Oh, now it's working.
Where is my original decimal?
At the back.
At the very back. Where am I going to put my new decimal?
Between the 5 and the 6.
Perfect. Between the 5 and the 6. Now, look at that number. Is it going to be a decimal to start with? Is it going to be a negative or a positive exponent? Positive. Good, because it doesn't start with a 0. Here we go. Draw your lines. Now, when the commas are there, it makes it nice because you can count by 3s. I see 3, 3, and 1. What is 3, 3, and 1?
7.
Perfect. So do you see the commas are actually nice? Okay. Automatically, so do you see how you can show your work just like that? Okay. Now, automatically when you see the next example, what comes in your head? Negative exponent. Good. So I would just go ahead and do this so I don't forget it. I see 1 decimal. Where am I going to put my other one?
Between the 1 and the 9.
Okay.
1 and the 3.
Between the 3 and the 1, because if I read that 0, 0, 0, 0, 3 decimal. Do you see that? the first number that is not a 0. So 3.19. And your paper is not as blurry as mine. I'm sorry, when I do it up there, it's so blurry. And it's even worse on my iPad here. So I have how many?
5.
Do you see how I put little dots up there to count?
Yep.
You can totally do what you need to do. No, we're not going to do all of these unless we need to. We're just going to kind of skip around. Okay, we're going to do number 1. It's positive exponent. Where's my original decimal? In the back. Where am I going to put my new decimal? Between the 3 and 2. What is the first number you see when reading from left to right? If I put it behind the 7, you would tell me 327 is a number between 1 and 10? Oh no. But is it 3.27 a number between 1 and 10? I heard between the 2 and 7. Once you wrote it, it would have said 32.7. Ask yourself that question. Is 32.7 between 1 and 10? Then you know you're wrong. Okay? So always ask yourself that question. Now, positive or negative exponent? Positive. And how many numbers are there?
8.
Perfect. Number 2. Good, negative. It starts with a 0, so I automatically know negative. Starts with a 0, so automatically negative. Because you haven't even done number 1. Here is my decimal. Where am I going to move my new one? Between the 9 and the 4. Bless you, bless you. Okay, so I'm going to have, is that a 3 or a 9? And how many numbers are between there?
6.
Y'all ready to do one under them?
Yes.
Do number 3. Good, draw your lines. Look at the first number that is not a 0, and put your new decimal behind it. We should be working, not just sitting there. Positive or negative exponent?
Negative.
Perfect, because it starts with a 0. I see one of my decimals. Where am I going to put my new one? Between the 3 and the 8, so it'd be 3.8. You ask yourself that question, is it a number between 1 and 10? Yes. And how many are there?
4.
Perfect. Do number 6. Actually, we'll do 6 together because I don't want to trick y'all on this one. Positive or negative exponent? Positive. Now look, my decimals at the end. Where am I my new one? 2 and 0. You can't skip numbers. So, and I have to write exactly what I see, but I can leave off those in zeros. But do you see I have to write all the way to that 6? Or if you had to go the opposite direction, you would get a totally different number if you forgot that 6, right? Okay. And how many numbers are in there? 6. Now, don't worry when they give you a word problem. It doesn't mean it's any more difficult. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the longest road in the world in the Pan American Highway spans 29,800 miles. So I'm just going to pull that number out. What is the lengthened scientific notation? Well, that means they want us to write it with times 10 with some power. Where's my decimal to begin with? At the end. Where am I going to put my new decimal? Between the 2 and the 9. So 2.98 times 10 to the 4th power. Are we good on that side? Okay. Now let's go the opposite direction. Up here, we're in scientific notation. We're just going to move that decimal. These are actually even easier. So let's go ahead and write that up there so we know if it's positive, we go to the right. If it's negative, we go to the left. Go ahead and write that, so if you just can't remember tomorrow, you can pull your notes out and look. Okay, here we go. Number 8. I'm going to write my original number. And it says 10 to the 6th power. So 10 to the 6th power, it's a positive 6. Am I going to go to the right or to the left? To the right 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to rewrite it where it doesn't have my camel humps and looks pretty. And put my commas. Well, if I'm looking at number 9, it's negative. Gonna go to the left, to the left. How many places to the left? 3. 1, 2, and 3. So I think those are actually easier than the other. Just move the decimal however many times it says. Let's do number 11. 9.3 times 10 to the 9th power. How many times am I going to move that? 9 to the right. And let's do number 13. 4.009 times 10 to the negative 5. Which way am I going to move it? To the left, how many? 5. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can add the 0 to the front, just don't count it as one of your moves. Okay, do we need to do any more? Do we need to do 10 or 12 on that side? Are we good? We good? Okay. So let's glue these in. And then I'll show you how to check them on your calculator. Hold on. Get your note spiral out. Okay, it's going to be number 3, scientific notation.
Table of contents, this is your calculator, this was yesterday, put a 3 on here, so this is where we'll put scientific notation.
Take the big page, fold it in half. We are on page 3. So it is literally the one directly across from our page 2 from yesterday. We are going to glue one side of that, and we are going to glue it down. Now follow my instructions. We are going to take the top of this, and we are going to glue it at the top of that page, because we need this right here for writing. And we're going to write before we touch our calculator.
I don't know if you read it, maybe they have to put it in there. Look. I will add them. You did it by periods, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I will
Okay,
add
we got to
that.
figure out how to print that paper.
Because I printed it, it is microscopic. You know,
I think we taped it, I think we taped it last year.
I think we had to take it to make it where we could read it.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
Okay, we're going to write this. We're going to write before we touch our calculator. You're going to write mode, right, side, enter, clear. And then we're going to write how we're going to clear it. Mode, enter, enter, clear. Then we're through with our writing utensil. We're through with the glue, we're through with your writing utensil. Keep your note spiral out though. We're gonna check our work. We're gonna check these 4.
Keep it open.
Okay,
We're using these 4 things, it's just easier to see what
okay, so pick up your calculator. And we are going to look at number 1, fold number 1, and we're gonna put in exactly like we see. Pick up your calculator. we're going to type in what's in fold 1.
Right.
Wait a minute. 1.35 times 10 and stop. 1.35 times 10. Remember your time sign is right beside your 9. Now, we need to learn how to do an exponent. So look above the division sign. There's a little house top, or what we call a carrot top. See the little up arrow? Hit that. And you're gonna see it's gonna give you a little box up in the air. So anytime you have an exponent, that's what you're gonna do. Type in a 5, because that's the number we're using. And now you can hit enter. Open up your flap. Did the answer we wrote, did it match? Or the,
Yes.
So type in 1.35 times 10. Hit the carrot top right there. Just scoot back. The one above that. See that little sunny house top? Okay, now hit 5.
perfect. Hit enter.
Do you have your folder? The blue folder? That was in paper one?
That's in my backpack.
Is it okay if I take that?
Okay, so that one worked. Let's try number 2. 2.7 times 10. This is very back pouch.
Flipping back and forth between the thing is.
2.7 times 10. Oops, sorry. Now hit your carrot top. Now, to get your negative sign, go down to the one by the decimal. Negative sign by the decimal and hit 3. So negative 3 and hit enter.
People who can't follow rules, and I don't need anymore.
Did it match?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, now we need to do this so we can check the other ones. Everybody, mode is next to the blue button. Everybody find mode next to the blue button and hit it. Now scroll to the right. See why I did an arrow? And then side will blink. Because we want to put it in scientific notation. Now hit enter. And then hit the clear button. The clear button is right below the up, down, around arrow, your joystick. And now your calculator is in scientific notation. So anytime you type something, you're going to see an E. E means times 10. Okay? So hit enter. It's the one that's rubbed off. And then hit click. Okay? Now we're going to type in this number. Now, where you've got to be careful on these is make sure you're put all the zeros in. So type in 679 with 5 zeros. 679 with 5 zeros. Once you've done that, you can hit enter. Now that's in scientific notation, it should say 6.79 times 10, which is your E. Okay, don't ever write E. E means times 10. The number after the E was your exponent. Did we get a 7? Then we got it right. So you're just typing in this number right here. 679 with 5 zeros. Okay. And then 5 zeros. Okay, let's do this last one. You don't have to put the first 0. You can just put decimal with 5 zeros to 1. Try this one. The decimal. With 5 zeros to 1. And hit enter. Okay, so E means your times 10. And it said 2.1 times 10, and it said -6, right? It didn't even touch your negative. Voila. See how easy that is? Okay, what you need to do now is we are going to clear it out. Go ahead and clear your whole calculator out. Blue plus 712. Blue plus 712. You are going to put your name tag in your pouch. Tomorrow you will switch out with fifth, but fifth period I had to give them a new seating chart. So fifth won't be in there, but you will start search for theirs tomorrow. And do you see yours has a cute little 4? Theirs will have a 5 on it. But all you need to do is put yours in the pouch. And then you can put your calculators up and pack up. Great job today, guys.
Do you want me to? Sorry.